Yes. Good afternoon, everyone. Make I pull my glasses first. Today, we're going to welcome everybody. I know say we all don't uh, miss 1 week of this regular conversation. Last week, we never hold the frontline conversation simply because we all been interested in the World Cup games. We just finished for watch Morocco and Croatia. At least me don't watch them. And now I know say plenty of una again. They look forward to the finals of the World Cup. For me, these are the only soccer competitions where they watch. The only football competition where they watch now the World Cup, the various Nations Cups. European Nations Cup, African Nations Cup, and the Copa America. Part of it because I like to see countries compete. Now the reason. So today we head to Christmas, the end of the year. It has been a very interesting year. Today is Saturday, December 17, and the talk to now from the state of from Louisville, the state of Kentucky, in the United States, and me on time now, 3 after 1 o'clock. I believe say that could therefore be around 6 p.m. in Sierra Leone. So I want to take this opportunity for thank Then and Now, Mr. Prince Chroma and the Then and Now platform for providing me and the African Express a wonderful opportunity, unrestricted access to a platform so we're able to talk to people in a salon and also around the world and on issues that matter to the Israeli public. And we always repeat this with appreciation simply because for the last 6 months, we see the open exhibition of efforts of politicians, both in the ruling party and across sectors of the opposition, especially in parliament, for silence the African Express and all of that. We don't talk about this repeatedly and the various steps that we don't take for make sure information published and voices coming from some of us are not spread across Sierra Leonean communities around the world, including within Sierra Leone. So around this time, the brother Prince Chroma decided for making platform available to we and say we can use them anytime, any day for communicate with peaceful messages, with democratic voices, and with your own contribution to the national conversation in Sierra Leone. That is what we've been doing. And for me personally, this is not new. I have been a journalist in Sierra Leone for at least, you don't pass now, but at least 20 years. I don't write on Sierra Leone and write on various newspapers in Sierra Leone. So we work as a journalist, as a commentator, as somebody who has participated in the discussion around public policy, public debate, and how or what it take for run with country. It's not new. 20 years, not to 20 days. 20 years, it's not 20 weeks. 20 years, at least 20 years. I have evidence of my work as a journalist speaking about issues of governance, issues of accountability, issues of human rights, issues of free speech, and against corruption and against dictatorship on Sierra Leone, at least for 20 years. As for the better part of my life, half of my life I don't spend on writing about Sierra Leone and other African countries. So I am a professional journalist. My work as a journalist did not start with social media, and it will not stop with social media. My work as a journalist did not start with Madabio as president. It will not stop, even if Madabio is not a president. My role as a public voice will always remain as it is. If anything, it will continue for increase over time and across time, and that is what I have done. Writing for me It's not the thing. It's not, writing are just a natural thing for me. I write because I like to write. And not only write, it's a gift. As a child, I discovered that naturally I can write. And that not only that, over years, across the years, over the last 20 years now, I realized that anything where I write, it get a life of your own. It take a life of your own. No matter how you know want to engage with a writer, you must engage. Either you silent, but you cannot ignore it. That at the point. I realized that as a child. So over time, I developed my own strength as a writer, as a journalist, as a public commentator, and hold an opinion of my own. So I want to lay that as a premise. So why make a start that way? Now for open up the basis of today's conversation, which is the effort by the current political groups and politicians in Sierra Leone for things say they have a capacity or they have the ability for stop some of we from participating in the discussion on public policy in Sierra Leone. That is impossible for them to do. So why I want to say that, because this not to guess with the guess now, we get evidence, mountain of evidence that we have gathered in the course of the last 2 years of various efforts for affect free speech in Sierra Leone, and using our own case, our own experience as an example for illustrate the continuous effort of the government and sectors of the opposition, members of the opposition in parliament and their friends outside of parliament who have been working over time for frame up, for setup, and for silence people like the Africanist, people who are attached to the Africanist press, including myself and other people in the country who do not agree with the system of affairs. And that I want to talk about. To the extent that now they don't even hire, they've gone as far as hiring foreign companies and foreign experts in their effort for stifle free speech in the country. Basically, they've hired cyber mercenaries against citizens of Sierra Leone who have refused to be part of the corruption that is taking place in Sierra Leone, who have taken upon themselves the responsibility for speak out against injustice, against human rights violations, against corruption and the mismanagement of public wealth. So the government not get no way for do now, then decide for spend more money for protect the ongoing effort for thief country money. You understand? And that's what we talk about today. How the government of Sierra Leone, supported by Parliament, has gone as far as hiring foreign companies and paid them money, public money, our money, the money of Sierra Leonean people, paid money from the treasury to foreign companies to build for protect, for gatekeep access to information, and also for harass and undermine the effort of citizens when they talk about accountability, transparency, and good governance as alone. And with the first and foremost, today's conversation is going to take a long conversation. Today's conversation is going to be based on real experience, my own experience as a journalist, as a Sierra Leonean journalist, and also the experience of my organization that I'm attached to, the Africanist Press, which has been, at least with all humility, at the forefront of the fight against corruption in Sierra Leone, whether you want to acknowledge them or not. We have served as today we are the last line of resistance to corruption and injustice in Sierra Leone. We will say that arrogantly if we want to become arrogant with it. So we want to talk about cyber surveillance. We think that people need to know about this because it's a human rights violation. It is a development, new development in the politics of Sierra Leone that people of Sierra Leone need to be aware of. A new pattern of dictatorship, where don't emerge as a consequence of the internet, as a consequence of the liberation of the instruments of mass communication. Now, government don't realize, say, although they get radio stations, they get newspapers, they get all of the traditional media where they don't keep away from, they cannot still silence us. And then don't go to the point now of hiring expertise, technology, use technology now for, say, what can we do? What we go do for make sure say them people, yeah, we will able to control, we will able to buy them, we will able to bribe them, we will able to suppress them. They can, how can we surveillance them? How can we monitor what they do in an effort for undermine the work when they do? Now that I want to talk about cyber surveillance. What is the ongoing cyber operations against citizens of Sierra Leone? I will use my own example. I will also explain how we learn about and how we investigate. We have never spoken about our investigations. Today, I want to give some kind of a window into how we investigated the current cyber surveillance. I'm not going to talk about them all, but I will talk about some of it and areas, people who will learn. I will in future, in fact, we are writing the next report where we intend to go more profoundly into details, showing people who have been affected or who are under surveillance. We don't talk about we self. We could talk about one or two individuals. But we not public. African Express published an article a couple of days ago. We talk about this the development of cyber surveillance, the hiring of an Israeli company named Cognite. But what we not add in that article, now the various people in the opposition and outside of the country, excluding African Express, we don't become targeted as a consequence of this. And would that they be and would that the people that we know some of these things where they happen and how it evolve. We not been published those details because when they calculate again, whether if we publish this thing, we tell them people like I say your phones, your communication is being intercepted or is potentially affected, is potentially under surveillance, whether friends of these individuals will be afraid to communicate to them, and that will be the calculate, as a responsible press organization. So today's conversation, I will talk about how we learn about this and how we identify them and how we come to witness and what we don't investigate so far and the amount of money that we don't track so far that has been paid. We are still tracking this development because it's an ongoing warfare. Now, government, they wage an internet warfare against its own citizens that they are supposed to protect, citizens where the constitution give right to free speech, right for enjoy human rights and privacy, and also how parliament itself did help the government for do this kind of build this surveillance architecture or surveillance state, if you like, and what are the implications moving forward. So now this is what I want to talk about today. I know say we're all busy. We get too many things running around. We go end of the year. There is stories of tragic accidents, developments, horrible stories. It's always the case with Christmas seasons. People traveling back home, traveling from the country to the city, traveling from the city to the villages. There's a lot of movement. So in the midst of that happiness, tragic developments take place. I just learned about a very gruesome accident involving school kids. We go extend sympathies to the families of these kids who have supposedly or who have reported they died in that accident, who have suffered injuries. We will continue to pray for more protection and appeal to drivers and people in Freetown and in other towns across Sierra Leone who are currently enjoying the Christmas season to make sure that they then do so responsibly, taking into consideration their own safety, the safety of their family members, the safety of their neighbors. Make we pay attention. Life, naturally, very important. Life is the most treasurable thing. You cannot replace it. Once you lose a life, a complete loss, now forever, they will replace that particular life, even if you get a new family member, that family member that you've lost to accident or other kinds of avoidable situations cannot be replaced. So with the big people them, as soon as they enjoy Christmas, when they celebrate the festive season, when they celebrate end of year, meet with family members when they don't separate from, please take into consideration these hazards that are happening, especially so in Sierra Leone where there's no health infrastructure, there's no emergency service. We're not getting infrastructure where the support emergency intervention for save people's lives. Please, when I take that into consideration, I'm taking a quick break. I'll come. We lay the foundation for this discussion, and then try for highlight some of these things. But before I do that, I got to talk about a couple of things before I come to the cyber discussion, especially when I know say the US-Africa Summit has just happened, and we see African leaders that were invited to the summit. We see the propaganda from, as is always the case, from Madabio and Leone, coterie of communication people who, anytime they meet with a Western diplomat, Western government official, then just they lie. Even when they meet with diplomats, they will always lie about the encounter. So we see that. So, but key thing, what is the message that has been published by the White House as it relates to elections, especially so when we consider going to elections, we need to talk about, I will talk a little bit about that, and maybe also talk about the opposition. In relationship to that, I will mention the opposition press conference. I mean, the APC's yesterday press conference, in which they appear to issue a statement belatedly talking about all of the issues we've highlighted, what is the importance of that, and all of them. And then, of course, we could talk about the subject of today's conversation, which is cyber surveillance in Sierra Leone. How the Africanist press learn about this development, what we don't understand, what we don't investigate so far, and what is our advice to citizens of the country in terms of how you deal with your communication and how to pay attention without necessarily adding fear into it. For me, we talk about that, I will talk about how we learn about that, how we've been targeted, and who we now know are part of this in their various sectors. Then it's going to be an ongoing conversation. We're going to forget the second part of this conversation, maybe a third part of this conversation, but we want to drill this cyber surveillance conversation. The same way we will make una understand Parliament. The same way we don't make una understand how much the thief the country money. That's what we want to make sure so una understand the levels of surveillance, the implication of that, the cyber surveillance, and how we not therefore pay attention to some of these things, and why important to pay attention. What are the implication of this new surveillance state that is being carved up by Madabio and his friends and allies in the opposition, especially in Parliament. I know say many of you now when they talk about Parliament all the time, some, especially for political party supporters who love some of these politicians, it's a very uncomfortable discussion for you. But we cannot pay attention to your discomfort to the extent that we have to avoid the most important issues of the day, which we think say they affect the country. For me, the country comes first, regardless of the politicians that you support. The fact of the matter is, there is no politician in Sierra Leone who is a stranger to me. I know these guys. I know them. And each one of them, at one point or the other, has tried to bribe me. They don't try to do that. Sometimes I try to keep conversation between myself and people that happen behind, the scenes as a private conversation. But I want to tell you now, say, there are few of the politicians that you support who have not tried to engage me, forget me for support their parties or their own agenda at one point or another. And they failed. And some of them also have sent business people, other people for counsel, and they bribe me. I have mentioned in the past how a businessman came to me saying, don't give $1 million for giving me. These are not allegations. I have the evidence of this. And if people ever talk about it and they listen, they already know. And these are individuals tied to opposition parties and tied to now the current government. They have tried to bribe me in the past when Anas Kuruma was president, and they tried to do the same when Madabio is president. So I begin to wonder, what is wrong with these people? Where is their allegiance? Where, thieves man, they forget honor, they forget principle, they forget something we don't believe in. But as I say, we have gangsters who have no morals, no rules of behavior. To them, for thief, then are the only thing we don't care about, how to loot public wealth. So, but that is a different thing. So let's take a little break, and then we'll help you for share this conversation, help you for invite people for come to this kind of conversation and see I see we get appreciable numbers before we begin the conversation. I intend to make it not too long, especially so realizing that for the last 1 week we'll not get this conversation, and also this is a busy time even for me. I'm working on too many different projects, writing projects. I have two major writing projects right now, completing, rounding up my dissertation, and at the same time completing a book and a new book. So all of these things, they take so much energy and so much time, in addition to paying attention to what is happening in Sierra Leone, and with my other family responsibilities as well along with it. So it's a situation where you have this octopus kind of responsibility, juggling it at the same time, trying to balance. So, which is why we therefore invent new methods for remain, abreast with situations all the time. So, quick break and we'll come back. Please share the link for we and invite people into the conversation. And I want to thank we faithful supporters and followers and viewers, even those who do not like what we do but are still paying attention to what we do. We appreciate the time you take to also pay attention to some of the things what they say. Although I not like what they say, but I know say back when but avoid what they say. So that's how democracy is. Let's keep it forward. Yes, thank you very much for the time. I help you for share the link. Maybe we take a few 2-3 minutes and see how we go invite some of we colleagues and friends to assist with inviting more people. We appreciate the number that is already here. Maybe we'll take a few minutes. And I see the comments now, yeah? Already. Mother is a thief, and thieves are liars. And Abine Suma, Patrick, Dust, respect, bro. Then we see Cecilia Boma, Cooper, George Orwell, yes. Okay. Very good. I had some gruesome accident of school children and parents. Yes, we said on the accident, and would join for continuously pray for the people that way don't become affected, and wishing them well, and sympathize with families who have already lost kids or family members in the process. I'd already say that. So today is the 17th of Saturday, the 17th of December 2022, of course, and these are the frontline show, the public conversation around good governance and corruption that is always coming to you and presented by myself, Chernoh of the Africanist Press. And we want to thank the Then and Now platform, Mr. Prince Kroma, for allowing the opportunity for use this platform for communicate with views to the Sierra Leonean public. So if you now remember, last week, or a couple of days ago, make I pull the article up here so that we will get a reference. On the 7th of December, I think that was 10 days ago, we published what we call in the Africanist Press, hired surveillance, how Sierra Leonean officials paid cyber intel groups to target journalists and political opponents. If we read the article, we will find out, say, we not only tell a story, we also, as always, supported everything we publish with documentary evidence. And in this case, we publish a sample of, make I just count, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19 transactions, 19 wire transfers, evidence of 19 wire transfers. The smallest amount in these 19 transactions that went from the Bank of Sierra Leone to outside of the country to Israel and to the United States, the lowest amount to them transfer, now $84,316.16. And all of these now transactions that will happen between 7 July 2021 to the 18th of July 2022. In the space of 12 months, we identify about 19 transactions paid to 2 companies. The lowest amount in these transactions, now $84,316.16, paid on the 7th of July 2021 to Cognite. So this basically, if you now look at the website, I will see the details, and they will publish them exactly as the record shows in the Bank of Sierra Leone, the Central Bank of Sierra Leone. And we still say, it's an open challenge to anybody in the government or anybody who wants to support the government, whether you are opposition party member, opposition party supporter, who you think say you want to defend the Mother Bill, come forward and tell us whether any of these transactions that we're talking about are basically inaccurate or wrong. And we have been saying this for the last 4 years, at least for the last 3 years, for the last 2 years. Nobody in government, nobody in the opposition that is a friend of the government, that is trying to defend the government, has been able to show that there is one missing detail or inaccurate detail in anything we don't publish. None. Including when we say Fatima Bio, there were rumors that Fatima Bio, the wife of the president, was receiving public funds. Okay, the audit service talks it and go investigate or audit the First Lady in office. The First Lady in office not provide any receipt. Basically, they not agree for making an audit them. The audit service never showed you evidence that the First Lady was receiving public funds. What they said was they wanted to investigate or audit the office of the First Lady. The office of the First Lady no provide receipts to the auditors. The First Lady lie in a saloon, in England, in all her meetings, including in her own home country, the Gambia, which I tell people and say she has been funding her activities from money that she earned while she was working in the United Kingdom for over 20 years. The only time that somebody present to the public, to the Sierra Leonean public, evidence that Fatima Bio, the wife of Julius Maada Bio, was receiving public funds, was receiving money from the public budget secretly, without the knowledge and approval of Parliament. Illegally, they were giving the wife of the president illegally, that the wife of the president was not just receiving money, but has an actual bank account at the Central Bank of Sierra Leone, and was also running another account at the Rokel Commercial Bank, and also has a foundation account at the Guarantee Trust Bank. And all of these accounts combined, we are receiving public funds from the Bank of Sierra Leone, from the Accountant General's Department, from the Ministry of Finance, from the National Treasury, to government ministries and agencies where they take money and donate. We don't show that example. And nobody, in fact, that was the first time where the wife of the president, Fatima Bio Komonado, he confessed. Basically, he proved which. He said, yes, that's true. He received the money. Before now, nobody had that evidence. Everybody was denying that the wife of the president was. So what did they say after publishing? Both the opposition members who are supporting Maada Bio secretly behind the scenes, and members and their supporters came out and defended the wife of the president and say, after all, she is not the first one to receive public money. But even when they say that, none of them has ever produced evidence showing that any other First Lady has operated a government account, has received direct public budget from the National Treasury. Up to now, nobody. And now Maada Bio in time they done so. Barely 6 months to elections, no one in the opposition and in the ruling party who are trying to defend, who have even received money from, because some of the money where they give Fatima Bio, the petrol station, the petrol where they buy, we don't show them. One of that company is tied to one of your opposition leaders. They are family members. Opposition members defended that. They try for defend that and rationalize that. It's always in the open. So I say that as a way for telling us, say, here we have evidence of $5 million. $5 million paid to foreign companies between the 7th of July 2021 to the 18th of July 2022. But before I talk about this first, when I know say sometime last year, a year ago, then sack Lara Taylor Pierce and Tamba Momo from the audit service, and many of the opposition supporters and ruling party members where they work with them. So what me tell una? Then tell una say, then don't sack the woman because they believe say we evidence and we material what they get now from the audit service. That they would get we material. Basically, they accuse, not a rumor. They are party member supporters, including Sori Fofana and other journalist Lance Berry, who is the Lance Anagberry, who is the ambassador of Sierra Leone to Switzerland, wrote in an article saying that the African Express they get material from the audit service. You know why they say so? Because these people, when they were in opposition, when the SLPP was in opposition, I will tell you now, say many of the material that they published regarding corruption on their own side, especially from Africa Confidential, may have been supplied from the Anti-Corruption Commission at the time. Anti-Corruption Commission back then, staffed by APC members, may have provided or had provided some of the material that went to some of the people who were working for Africa Confidential at the time, some of their sources. We know that in the African Express. We know. So that make when some of them now are in government, they thought that because they control the Anti-Corruption Commission, and then not be expect any other person for produce evidence of murder and corruption. So when they saw evidence coming from the Africanist press, clear evidence of the loot of public money from the Bank of Sierra Leone, the Central Bank, and other government agency and department, they had to think, who said they were to get the information? How did they get her? And because they know that they control the Anti-Corruption Commission, and there is no way the Anti-Corruption Commission, as them be understand how them the user, then it's impossible to do that. Now, they felt the only institution in government that is capable of providing that kind of information or that had access to that kind of information will be the audit service. That makes them accuse the auditors, both at the audit service and those within MDAs that now they work with African Express, because that is how they operated in the past. Marteluna today. So this is how they came to the conclusion that African Express cannot have access to information about government financial operation without them being aided by either the audit service or the Anti-Corruption Commission. And because they get control over the Anti-Corruption Commission, which they had used in the past, people in the Anti-Corruption Commission who worked between 2008 to 2018, by the way, their APC members were the very people who worked with some of the opposition elements back then for providing information about graft and corruption of Ernest Bai Koroma in government. And they also used the commission at the time. Your politicians in opposition in the APC did that. So because now, many of them who did that in the past are also working with Madabio for Protect Madabio and accuse their own party leaders and party members and so-called party comrades of corruption, they felt the only way we could produce evidence, it could either come from the Anti-Corruption Commission or the audit service. And because they don't think, they don't fence the Anti-Corruption Commission, so they think the only institution where they not control are the audit service, because Lara was not supposedly on their own doing their bidding. So then believe say the only way we could understand how government they operate and know evidence against evidence anti-corruption audit service, because they normally can receive in their own thinking details of financial operations. But here is the thing. No journalist in recent times, in the last 20 years at least, has produced the kind of evidence that we have published, publishing basically on the minute, on the hour, live evidence of government transactions. We might have you take 1 leone, we say you don't take 1 leone. We take 10 leone, we say you don't take 10 leone. And nobody in government has been able to say anything will be published, not to so it be, including the very president. The wife of the president admits, he said, yes, the money we said she was receiving it. He tried for justifier. So why I start this way about Teluna, why it became necessary for the government for decide now say, with all the sack and sack people, including the audit service, and all sack everybody in government, from the banks to the ministries, to the government departments, to agencies, from State House to the commercial banks, to all sides. They look at the people who work with African Express. Then don't go to the point now, then they hire cyber mercenary companies for attack and see how they go understand how we operate. So some of the information that I'm going to share today, as you don't already begin area, na secret one and over area. Basically, I have found it necessary. Some of this information are still where they right now, the current book where they write, we are intent for publish. Will come out very soon. Because what you have been seeing and reading is basically the end product, now the final product of the operation now they produce. Now, by the time you read an article about how we operate, of something that don't happen, it don't take we several months of tracking the details regarding that article, how it come about, how that money they come about. We don't take months, they watch, till we find out, say, okay, we get this information, we wait. Now this at the right time, I'll pull this information, we pull them, boom. But not to the day we pull the information, or the day before, or 2 days before that one, they will be not already understand say this thing happen. No, we don't spend months, they watch. They piece the information together. They find out, they say, let's see how this thing is going. So basically, today is an opportunity for make I begin tell you the window, the backside, the behind the scenes operation of the African Express, how we can understand stuff, some of the things the way people can try for do to we, and how we can sit on the watch. So I am basically revealing to you an aspect of our work and our operation, not in detail, but on the surface of it, that you have not read about. And basically, what I try to do, I try to share a tiny bit of what I write right now inside my book about how we investigate this government, whatever they encounter. Because I don't want to go read my book again and begin to say, oh, we don't see this here, you go see. But then what you haven't seen is the process of our investigation, how we come about for learn about this. We also we don't also learn in the process about Sierra Leone, the entanglements, the crooked nature of the politicians, the crooks, the rogues, the victims, and the pretenders, various categories of people. And it don't allow it. So the final analysis conclude say corruption is a dangerous disease. But we can talk about, but I'm not able to know how dangerous it is, worse than cancer in itself in society. So now that I want to talk about. So basically, if we now go back to the publication at the website published on the December 7, 2022, hired surveillance, Sierra Leone officials pay cyber intelligence groups to target journalists. We talk, say, we investigation done uncover, say, Sierra Leone officials, they paid at least $5 million to cyber intelligence groups, including a known cyber surveillance company, where they call Cognite. We all go to hear about Pegasus and all of these NSO groups. And this is one of them, one of the most proficient ones. And then go higher. They paid them money for target opponents of the regime. So government go buy tools, then buy the technology and hire a technological company who can help them for begin monitor people and where them believe, say, that critics of the government, people, including we. So this sort of talk for, say, we suspect the government, we believe, say, Mother Bill, they do this, we believe, say, the politician, they do this. No, the evidence exists. Not only the evidence also tied to people, tied to banks. So in the transactions, Naya, if I can go back and pull up the document today, on the 7th of July, 2021, the government, through the Bank of Sierra Leone process on the instruction of the president, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 transactions in one day. The first money we then sent on that day was $218,841.82. The second transaction, $155,000. The third transaction, $84,316.16. The fourth transaction, $218,841.82. The fifth transaction, now $155,000. So in total, Naya, in this single day number, the government almost transferred $1 million to Cognite. And within Cognite Technologies Israel Limited. And waiting and pay this one. So they say the bank record, now they read so now. The bank record say payment in respect of purchase of cyber intelligence solutions for national security operations. Payment in respect of cyber intelligence solutions for national security operations. Then on the 1st of October, 2021, they also transfer $310,000 to the same company. The same thing again, payment in respect of purchase of cyber intelligence solutions for national security operations, cyber intelligence. Then on the 18th of July, 2022, they also transfer $630,000 to the same Cognite Technologies Israel Limited. Again, payment in respect of purchase of cyber intelligence solutions for national security. In total, these sample transactions were already to no more. In total, when we put them together, it came to $2,081,999.80. $2,081,999.80. This money was paid to Cognite Technologies Israel Limited. And all of this money was transferred from the Bank of Sierra Leone to Cognite Israel through the Standard Chartered Bank South Africa. And the instruction for the transfer of this money came directly from the office of the president, and involved in the meetings for do this involved ONS and other security sector people, including also the knowledge of some of our parliamentarians. The most important one I got for note now are the date first. I will come to that. The 7th of July, 2021. Then they make the first payment. The last payment here is 18th July, 2022, where we highlight. There are several other payments. This is now one company. Okay. Now, on the 11th of January, 2022, we also calculate 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 transactions in January 2022 alone. And this one was transferred. These 11 January transactions we then do, all of them again were transferred through the Federal Reserve Bank in New York. And each of these also total $210,578.88. And then this way again, they send on to another company we then call North Star Enterprise. North Star Enterprise. And the bank record talks, say the reasons for these transfers are basically in respect of the payment of 15% now advance, 15% advance payment for the supply of special public order equipment for the Sierra Leone police. The other one, they say cyber intelligence solution. This one again, special equipment for the Sierra Leone police. These are all counter intelligence operations funding. So on the 18th of July 2022, so there were five different transactions, all in the amounts of $210,573.88. All 5 transactions, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. In fact, 7 transactions. So if you calculate 210,000 times 7, you're basically talking about over or nearly $1,500,000 sent on one day, on a single day, and then transferred to this company. Then on the 18th of July, again, we also identify, or we investigation catch evidence of 4 other transactions as well, processed on the 18th of July, 2022. Okay, then July, August, September, October, November. 5 months ago, they talk about 5 months ago, exactly 5 months ago. Again, each of these transfers were in the amounts of $184,252.14. Again, sent to these two. So there are other companies, other transactions who will not publish it, but we just have in total these second transactions were so then have total $2,211,025.75. These transactions were the return, so the amount they are, not to me make them up. These are basically directly from the transfer, the foreign transaction record of the Bank of Sierra Leone. Make I wear my glasses. I want to look and call the names of the people who enter these details in the bank record. When the when in the process something, you get supervisor, where they supervise at the bank and sign. So for make I just give you the precision, that is not in the article. It's not in the article, but I pull the record for make a at least show now what we talk about. What we before I can now and explain to una what in this, why the government do so, and what make them do this surveillance. So for the most part, these transactions where happen so Arizona, many of them were imputed or they were recorded. They then put under the way in the type and inside the bank record where they don't make them transactions there. They were the input, the typing for put this inside the record of the bank. The banker will do and the person at the Bank of Sierra will do I read the name that Mukhtaru Bokari. Mukhtar Bokari is attached to the foreign exchange operations section of the Bank of Sierra Leone. Mukhtar Bokari or Mukhtaru, if that's what I spell that. Basically, I spell the name Muctaru. And Bokari, of course, I know Bockare. So the person will check after we Mukhtar don't put the Mukhtar Bokari don't put the record, don't record and say we don't send this money, don't record her. The supervisor that the bank will supervise will make them and sign, countersign, say yes, now correct. We check the record and approve them and certify, say yes. These two people are not the people that will order the payment to. Then their own business that will enter anything with the bank transfer. Basically, these people in the work now the foreign exchange section. They are part of the foreign exchange at the time of these transactions. I don't know if they're not sacked now or not, because they don't sack people in the Bank of Saloon for the last 3-4 weeks silently. From that level, we talk about, say, Madabio, don't take money, go to England, June. I mean, before that August 10. Now they sack some of them. They train out, they harass the Bank of Saloon. So I don't know that two people have been still working at the bank or they don't sack. But as of July, when they enter this, they were staff supervise. Now they part of the supervisors, them part of the supervision of the foreign exchange operation section of the Bank of Sierra Leone. So the supervisor will check Mukhtar in entry of this transaction. His name is Mohammed S. Bangura. Okay, so I say this is not part of the article. This information what I just add now is not part of the article that is published by the Africanist Press on the 7th of December. We just focus on the transactions and we own experience with cyber intelligence operation of the Bank of Sierra Leone. If you get a question for me when I listen, I don't say we're not able, we'll try for make this an interactive conversation and begin say with entertain phone calls. Maybe after the holiday or the next new year now we go try for figure out how we go make it more participatory. But in the interim, if you get question where you want to ask me or you want something I can clarify or explain in case you don't understand, put them in the chat box. I will try for go there again and read the messages and see how it will take. So I don't read Tona these transactions, all the money this. So in total, what we calculate the transactions that happened between the 7th of July 2021 to the 18th of July 20, we try to take 12-month period as a sample. Say, oh, this is a random thing we do, so we can just say no more, because when you have access to all of this, you can just select, say, anyway, more group this, more select. So we do random selection. Then since today I'm explaining to you how we operate. So like way they close your eyes, how we operate, because it's so much, you have to have a baseline. So we do random selection of transactions. Like when the lucky animal say, make I put my hand inside a bly. Any amount of banga hole, what pull and now we check, I see the banga there, how many banga in my hand, how they all look like, putting the similarity. That's how we do. So in a random selection of transactions sent by the Bank of Sierra Leone, transferred, wire transfers to what we don't identify as cyber intelligence companies, we able to identify these almost close to 20 transactions or 19 transactions that reflect payment to cyber intelligence companies for buys for the payment of cyber intelligence solutions for national security operations. We'll come to other aspect of these transactions, which is the procurement side of things. Whether how the government managed to identify these companies, was there any knowledge of this situation? The public will know about them here. Was Parliament aware? Where was the procurement or the choice of this company comply with rules? Was it advertised? No. So these are all other violations, apart from the money where they don't send, apart from the violation in terms of buying cyber weapons for target citizens. The other violation are that even the procedure, it is a secret operation. This, by the way, this is a secret operation. It is a secret operation known by the president, his security people, his bankers, Minister of Finance, and also other key leaders in the opposition. We they work with them. We then think say we don't work now an obstruction to their agenda. Now they no more know this there. Now they no more aware say this thing they happen. And in the investigation, we find out we can know. Say some of them, in fact, some of them were former ministers and current leading parliamentarians in the opposition in parliament. Some were former ministers in Anes by Kuruma's government. They are aware that this situation is ongoing. They never spoke about it. In fact, they are part of it. That's not the greatest surprise to some of us. And these are not accusations. These are things we encountered in investigating the situation. So, random selection. In total, we find out that almost $5 million has been sent to cyber intelligence companies secretly from the central bank to Israel, especially Cognite Technologies Sierra Leone Limited. Cognite Technologies Israel Limited for buy these cyber solutions. So that we don't already tell you now. So in addition to, we find out, say, as we go on the website, we go read them here. So why why I've been talking about the date. Say when I take note of the date. When I take note of the date, the 7th July, is very important simply because now around the same time the government pass or parliament enact the cyber law, the cyber crimes law. Now the same time when they pass this law, now around that same time the government decide to carry out this. So that we say now. Our investigation discovered that Sierra Leonean officials processed the first payments amounting to nearly $1 million to Cognite Technologies on 7th July, 2 weeks. 2 weeks after we Parliament passed the cyber law, now the term, 2 weeks after that, the government begin, from the record we see, begin send payment to Cognite. Whether they don't set up the agreement before that or not, it's a different conversation. So the cyber law basically was introduced in Sierra Leone by the Madabio administration and enacted by Parliament to supposedly protect critical national information infrastructure. They're not being passed. The law not supposed to make government buy equipment for target people and free speech. And I remember even the international partners who supported the government's effort for build a securitized technology environment for protect citizens, then talks that they're not being funded, they're not being support them for making them undertake activities where go undermine the free speech of citizens or undermine the democratic space. And in this case, Parliament, after the passage of the law, where Parliament enacted the cyber law, 2 weeks after that, the Madabio then begin send money. 2 weeks after that, in fact, $1 million, the first transaction that happened that we've reported in our random selection, 7th July, $1 million, over $1 million was sent to Cognite. Now, who done a Cognite? I don't know if I begin to try to ask. What is this company, Cognite? What in Cognite they do? Who are they? We'll come to that discussion. So, at this stage, there is no question whether the government of Sierra Leone is undertaking cyber intelligence operations against citizens. What in other cyber intelligence operations? The cyber intelligence operations here are basically operations where the government targets known critics of the government for intercept their communication for what they call hack into their communication, either them social media accounts, their emails, or their telephone conversation for listening to the conversations that we when they get, so for understand what they plan and what they want to do, and they go to counter that or do something in relation to that, or try for implicate into other things. So we'll talk about how Cognite they operate and what they try to do. But what am I trying to say here? Within this evidence show we what we can find out that the government not buy cyber intelligence tools for protect citizens. No, they bought these tools for carry out operation against known and identified targets, citizens of Sierra Leone who they believe and know are critical of government operation, including myself and other people in the African Express and other politicians as Salon Day, where the part of the opposition, within the target for surveillance. We not list that, we not publish that evidence. They list the names and phone numbers of people. And I know they do that now because again for day in the subsequent publication. Today, I will tell you now how we learn about this and how we have been targeted. Some of it, the fight is still ongoing between ourselves and the government of Sierra Leone up to now, or the agents of the cyber operation. And the good thing that since we published this, since we announced this, we don't bust out, say we don't see this company, we know. Some of that attack with the attack with communication, social media, communication, Facebook, WhatsApp, and email attempts for hack, they don't begin roll back. So but today I will explain to you now how we learn about this, how we have been targeted, and what we did to protect, for begin observe. Till reach point now, we begin protect against that. Basically, we don't know say this thing that happen. We wait, they watch, and accumulate the evidence. What the government and their own allies are not be know. Now, the fact that we don't know say that they do this, and that will be the watch them for see how they operate, how this thing they work. Basically, now we they watch, including the attack that they've attacked us. We will investigate and see them. We say, okay, make we wait. Let's leave the situation as it is. Like go see thief man, they can't thief no more. You don't watch the thief man. You wait for until he try for prime the domot. You dey inside the wait. You hang in a corner. You wait till he open the domot. He come inside the parlor. He commode. He don't get together. He go in the room. They begin get together. So what you can do? You lock the domot. You wait. We don't get all the one come on and say, "Paddy man, tilapia. Who side they go? Who side come on?" So at that point, the thief man will go for lies, say, hey, no, I can't greet somebody because there's already evidence of breaking into the house, evidence of looting, evidence of gathering the loot and trying to leave the Yuhola. So the evidence don't complete. That is what we did with the government of Sierra Leone and its cyber intelligence operations. We saw them doing it. We waited. They attacked us. We waited and allowed them to complete their operation and these transactions. And after that, now is an opportunity for us to inform, because we'll not be waiting for that. They will not forget the complete picture of what they have done, what they were doing, and then we're not able to explain to them what don't happen and how. And some of it is still happening. Some of it is still happening, ongoing. So, but now we feel that the opportunity is now for bringing them into the conversation. So, key point before we forget. Number one, Parliament passed a law in June 2021 for a cyber crimes law, a law for investigate cyber crimes, okay, and for allow government for, treat a telephone and electronic communication as a crime equipment, for even seize them in the process of an investigation or prosecution of cyber crimes. On the surface of it, they say they try to protect people against cyber criminals, terrorists, where they use technology for attack government. Okay. In the real sense of the word, yes, government get responsibility for protect each and every citizen. The protection and security of the lives and property of Sierra Leoneans rest within the law enforcement agencies of a country, right? The defense and security of the territorial integrity of a country rest within the responsibility and domain of government. In the exercise of governmental responsibility, governments also have restraint. They should do that in consonance with the law, in respect the law. Those who are lawyers, they know what I'm talking about. Unfortunately, many of these lawyers in the opposition are part of this operation. Then some of them know what is happening. In fact, some of them assisted the operation against the African Express and other citizens of the country. I will talk about that briefly as we go along. This is a learning, it's a teaching. We don't learn a lot from this, and now we opportunity for share some of what we don't learn. in the process. It's an interesting environment. In my years of practice as a journalist for the last 20 years, this is a new development, new phenomenon. But it's so good that we also, in the process of investigation, we opened ourselves to surprises, to learning, opportunities for learn, opportunities for, observe new things as situation develop. For every encounter, you learn, you live to learn and develop your ideas, develop your own expertise and skills. And that's what is ongoing. And we want to share this knowledge with the public, because our role as journalists is not just to inform, but we have to educate the public. We have to also help to protect the public by providing information that is critical to saving lives and protecting the dignity and the privacy of citizens. So this comes to what I was talking about. In the discharge of responsibility to protect and to protect citizens and to secure lives, to secure property, and to secure the territorial integrity of a country, governments are bound by law. And not only that, they are bound to also protect the human rights of citizens, including the citizen, the right to privacy. Nobody, no law, no give government the right for kongosa, you don't understand, for listening to somebody in private communication. A big violation, a big crime. When an individual tap into the private conversation of another individual, it's a serious crime, a violation of the right to privacy. Every individual gets the right for live in a dignified way, and dignity is hinged on the right to private life, the right to privacy, the right to private life. Now that make trespass laws then they enter somebody in compound or somebody in home without your own invitation. If you do that, a trespass, anything happen to you, now you cause that. And in the same domain, the trespass to somebody in communication. So when governments or government officials resort to the point where they have to trespass into the private lives of citizens, to the extent of listening or trying to tamper with the private communication of any citizen, they have behaved in a criminal way. Like only criminal governments behave that way. And when government resorts to criminal activities to try to understand what citizens are doing, the legitimacy of that kind of government has to be put into question. And a very serious thing, because it means that the government has ceased to operate as a legitimate entity. The government has assumed an overt method, a criminal operation against the citizens. A big problem, a violation of the Constitution, because in the final analysis, we have to trust our lives, the safety of our lives, our dignity, and our personhood, till we make way as human beings in charge of political leaders who we have elected, not just to make public policy for develop the country economically, but also for advance we socially. So when governments decide for do other things for where they demean or reduce with dignity and make we live in fear, and begin to think about, is somebody listening to what we are saying? If you call your wife, you go feel for talk safe, in an amicable way, or in a romantic way, because you think say somebody sit down outside going to listen to you. That is the extent. Is a serious violation. So now that cyber intelligence is all about. Cyber intelligence is all about developing the architecture, the modern technology of a police state, where citizens do not have right to privacy, where their private life is the subject of surveillance, is the subject of state being watched by the state, to the extent that even you begin to think about when you go now your bathroom for go wash, as you pull it close, so maybe somebody has activated your camera silently, or is understanding what the daily routine of your life. It's a situation of where you now what we call the fear, living under the fear that you have no privacy even within your own bedroom or your bathroom. Now that we'll talk about. So that is the situation. So what these transactions tell us, if we not get any other evidence, but we have evidence here that public money, public money, money that is meant to provide good hospitals, good social service delivery, ambulances, to develop good classrooms, to provide healthcare, to provide better salaries, is being used, is being sent to a cyber company that has the capacity, a cyber company, cyber intelligence company that will get the capacity for do nothing else but for sell or provide technology to governments and organizations that we want for spy, we want for carry out technology, use technology for spy on other people, for hack into people and communication, for intercept communication, for listen to communication, and for harass people technologically. That is what we have here. We have evidence of at least $5 million in funding that went to private companies outside of Sierra Leone. And we have never been told. Government not ever tell we say they don't purchase, they don't pay money from we own country money, from the money that belongs to Sierra Leoneans to a company in Israel to provide them with tools and technology that they will use in cyber intelligence as part of their national security operations. Before they do this should have been something that Parliament will debate, Parliament will approve, and not only that, the procurement for this will be in the public domain. Companies go. If you be now for build the infrastructure, the technological infrastructure for protect the banks, for protect people, and for protect against cyber criminals, it will be a public. It will be on public tender. Government business, not a secret society. The government operations is not meant to be part of a secret society operation. And since we publish this, people in government, including your opposition politicians who are supposed to be concerned about the violation, constitutional violation, by the way, then they pretend they not see this, and they ignore them. In fact, because some of them will raise conversation around other issues so that these kinds of conversation will not be part of the national debate. It is no part that the world know there. So you go see evidence of a government trying to build intelligence to violate the right to privacy and not make an issue. But why Parliament will not make this an issue? I will tell you, in other countries, like we this evidence come on and do, there will be a parliamentary inquiry into this kind of operation. At what point government decide for resort to this? At what point? Who authorized it? How did it happen? Who is this company? They would be questioning the Minister of Finance, the Internal Affairs Minister, the Office of National Security, Defense, the President's Office, and all of these people who have violating the rights of citizens, a violation of the constitutional right of citizens. Therefore, don't raise issues around it. But why they can't? Parliament did not only pass a law in June 2021 for arm the government with the legal basis for begin use cyber tools like this, but also 1 month ago, Parliament passed a law where even empower these security agencies now for do reconnaissance, for even take a person and put her near you. Somebody go to Ghana office go work there, we be say the undercover agent for legalize undercover operation, for do sting operation, where they can also say this organization get computer, you can't seize them. So basically, they strengthen the law that will allow government to legalize and authorize the government for get the legal authority now for carry out this kind of operation as a legal operation. That is what the new National Security and Central Intelligence Act of 2022 passed about a month ago. These are laws that we count all in the Parliament at the same time we count the public elections law. In April, Parliament we get at least 4 laws with all are draconian laws there. And this include the public elections law. I know what the public election law don't do to the country now. The Political Parties Act of 2022, the National Security and Central Intelligence Act. These are all laws that are against the free exercise of the fundamental rights of citizens, including their right to expression, right to free speech, right to conscience, right to privacy, and right to political association, and the right to vote. So basically, Parliament, together with the ruling party, participated in the development of the legal landscape. We authorize these kind of things they want to talk about. They are not innocent. This is why right now, then you won't pray and make this kind of conversation, not even occupy our mind, but it's the most dangerous thing. Now I will come talk about how we learn about this. But I just want for talk say, if we not get any other evidence, we now have evidence, not guessing. The same way when I been a guest, they say Fatima Bio they receive money, they deny they receive until published now. Now we not get any doubt say Fatima Bio they receive money. If they receive per diem, if they receive budgetary allocation. Parliament not do nothing about that. If we have been a suspect say government they try to hack people, then they do cyber surveillance, then they listen to una, then they listen to una, they talk, and they afraid. If we are suspect of a suspectant, this is the evidence now showing that they not only they do that, they don't pay millions of dollars for that. And we don't not only show that the saying they do, we don't show the money when they don't pay to them, when they pay this money, how they pay the money, to who that they pay the money. And by the way, you cannot spend 1 Leone from Sierra Leonean public funds without following the public finance regulations and laws. And in this case, all of these transactions we read to now, none of them has complied to the laid down rules of procurement, to the rules governing financial operations which government is supposed to comply with. And as far as we know, this is a secret operation. You cannot spend government money secretly. Now, the same secret way that they give Fatima Bio money under the table. Now, the same under the table, they don't use for send $5 million to companies for buy technology, way for spy on people. Due to guess, I'm not guessing this. This is adhering to my transaction. You can go to the African Express website and look at the latest article. Many of your parliamentarians and politicians, then they prefer to talk to now other things there. They want you to be focused on something else because they know, say, in the final analysis, when this discussion take root, their hands and feet and their heads and they inside, they participated in this kind of operation. They legalized it, they authorized it. Parliament has committed the most serious crime, this parliament, this fifth parliament. Parliamentary leaders like Chernoh and others, this is why we are constantly calling him out. Not because we hate him, now because we find out, say, they are part of the danger that has been created in Sierra Leone. Danger in the past APC and danger in the current parliament under Madabio. Many of you do not want to hear that. I will say that openly because of this kind of thing. Any politician, opposition politician, will allow a government to build the architecture of a repressive state is a cancer to the people of a country, a danger to democracy. And whether you guys want to hear it or not, that is what we're talking about here. So what did our investigation find out? We identified 19 transfers, as I don't list them, that were processed by the Bank of Sierra Leone between 7 July 2021 and 18 July 2022. By the way, Lara Taylor Pierce is no longer in office when we get this evidence. So the government still has to go back and begin to find out how we get this kind of details. But I will come to that. I will come to why they come hire this company and what in the hire for how they don't use them. Now that now the next thing we're going for talk about. But might just read some of the details here. So 19 fund transfers in the name of Cognite Technologies Israel Limited and North Star as payment, like I say, for intelligence solutions and special public order equipment. We found that 8 of these transactions totaled $2,081,999.80 were processed on several dates between 7th July 2021 and 18 July 2022 in the space of 12 months after we then passed the cyber law. Now this thing happened. So I don't return at the various amounts then. On 7th July alone, we don't show now how they send multiple amounts. Some 155,000, other one. The lowest amount on that day was $84,316,000. So the payments, I want to repeat again, the payments, the payments themselves, not where the bank no sit down, they make so, or JJ Safari or other people. These payments were ordered. The secretary to the president, right, ordered order of the Office of the President, and they were authorized by the Ministry of Finance, Accountant General's Department, the Ministry of Finance, and they write the letter after they receive the instruction from the President for pay Cognite. Then the bank now processor. I don't already told now where them processor, the one the way enter, the way type the record inside the bank. I don't call the name. Mukhtar Bakari and Mohammed Bangura. I don't read the name. If I don't understand anything, I can repeat again. So we discovered that 5 specific transactions amounting to $831,999.80 were paid directly to Cognite on 7th July in various amounts. I don't read them amounts. Say again, the payments were ordered by the Office of the President, and instructions to the Bank of Sierra Leone for the transfers were also issued by the Ministry of Finance. For Suna Biden here. So in total, we found that the Central Bank of Sierra Leone transferred over $2 million to Cognite Technologies during the first 12 months after when Parliament passed the cyber intelligence law. Now, was Parliament not aware that government was about to buy these cyber intelligence tools for begin spy on people? Are they not aware? They not been know? Have they investigated how the law has affected Sierra Leoneans? So again, all of them transferred that I would talk about. They were processed from Freetown. They went through, they send and go as the wire route. You get 2 main way. Standard Chartered Bank in South Africa. I didn't wire the money through. And again, the payments were listed for cyber intelligence services and solutions for national security on behalf of the government of Sierra Leone. Then pay this company purposely for provide them with the technology we then go use in special cyber intelligence operations. What is cyber intelligence? I will explain this. So I don't talk to you about also the money we then pass through New York, the Federal Reserve Bank in New York, also more than $2 million. In total, all and all, we calculate. And there is more, because when I see the one way in the North Star, 15%. So if you calculate $2 million in total as 15%, now imagine what when you round that amount to 100%, what will it be? That was an advance payment to North Star Enterprise. So Cognite, we can't talk about them. Who are Cognite? What is Cognite? What do they do? Whether they're a good company, a bad company. What in the world think about Cognite, including the American government, Meta, when a Facebook, and then get Facebook, the Mark Zuckerberg company. Wouldn't them be now find out about this Cognite and other companies? And there's a report on them. International report issued in December 2021. The same time, Salon begin paid in July. December 2021, Facebook, the one that we get Facebook, Meta, the company Meta, owned by Mark Zuckerberg. They investigate Cognite and other companies that way they carry out cyber intelligence. Now, 300 countries, they produce a report on the 31st of December 2021. At this time, Salon don't pay more than $2 million to this company. The company where they pay, then they part of 7 other companies where they don't investigate for the kind of way they compete 100 countries in the world. And we can't talk about that. With government, even when Meta produced that report in December 2021, government still continue up to now, continue to pay this company, and they use them against African Express, use them against other people in the country. We not name the people there. Why could not be published at this article day for show them one day, because we still calculate what will that information do to the people who have been affected in Sierra Leone, politicians and other people who are affected by surveillance right now. How they go feel, and how them party them go feel. Whether you get the courage for call the person again or talk to her. Will it reduce their telephone communication? How that make we not introduce that one, but we are calculating that. But for today's conversation, I will explain how we were targeted, how we identify the target, how we also know, say, some of the politicians that are the opposition that know about this, because 1 or 2 of them talk to me and try for psych me for no, if I don't know, say this thing that happened. And if you report to me, say fake, report to me, say, hey, they're not suspect, so person, they don't tap in phone. I get the communication. I tell them, say, no, a lie. That person they know they because the person where they say them tapping phone, one of the people they aware say this thing that happened against one of your boss. And by the way, these are former ministers in Anes Nkrumah's government. Some of them are still close to Anes Nkrumah and now working for Madabio behind the scenes. I have their communication chat. They attempted to find out for me if we have the capacity to understand when cyber tools are deployed against a particular target, if we will identify it. And by so doing, they even lie, talk say, one of them colleague don't report to them, say, in phone, they don't hacker. That's when I give me the phone number. I checked it. I said, no, I lie. They don't hack the number. They, I have the communication basically, but then we identify, by then we not know say then they do this. When they do that, again, we know say, oh, that's why they try for test for know if we don't know say this thing they happen. The back and forth between we and the one. I have the record of the communication between myself and these people. I'm not naming their names, but right now I don't talk so they know. They know. So anyway, make I not detract from the conversation. So Cognite that the government of Sierra Leone paid this money to has been identified by international governments and international companies as one of the most dangerous cyber intelligence companies where they sell tools, where they sell technology to government and organizations where they use for harass people in other countries. Facebook, Meta, we get Facebook, don't investigate this company and other companies and don't identify how they target other people in 100 countries around the world. I can talk about that report after the break while they take. So I want for pause there, make the information what I'm giving for sink in. And by the way, I am not talking about a fiction, not a fiction or not a novel I talk about. So I'm telling you about real-time development. I'm telling you about how politicians in Sierra Leone have hired international mercenary companies to target African Express and target other citizens in the country. And these politicians are not just Madabio. They are some of them are part of the opposition. They are aware. And they use this as one of the ways to which they targeted me and my work and the work of the African Express. The only thing is they failed in their operation. So every time I post on Facebook, say the politicians and their allies in parliament and the media and civil society, now they talk about. This is not fiction. So we don't come to a point with this. We have to inform the public about these things before it gets past to this because we don't observe them enough. And by the way, we are currently putting together a formal letter of complaint to the European Union, Parliament, and other organizations for report the government of Sierra Leone so that they can be investigated with this kind of situation. I want to announce it here because we are serious about this. We are not going to holler as I don't say press freedom, free press, and all of that. Then you are undertaking this kind of operation. The government of Sierra Leone and the Parliament have to come out and tell me exactly whether this is a legal operation and why they decided to spend this amount of money. The evidence is here. If they believe, say, this evidence not exist, we challenge them, let them come out and show, say, this procurement is legal. And they haven't used this technology against citizens, including myself and other people. Not a story at the tell. I'm telling you about the operation of politicians who are your relatives, who are your party leaders, who are your neighbors, people that we sabi. Some of these people who have done this, now people that don't sit down with in Freetown sometime in 2010, 2011, 2012, 2013, before I left there, I came here, talk with them. They called me friend in the past. They clapped for me in the past. Now they now decide to go to this extent. It's like trying to kill someone. Now that's not the thing. I'm telling you about how politicians have targeted me and some of you because we are exposing the facade of Madabio's fight against corruption. And the fact that the corruption fight now a joint effort of the opposition politicians, largely in parliament, we don't ally with Madabio for harassing the opposition people there. And they identified African Express and myself as an obstruction to their agenda because they think say, we will publish corruption of Madabio, will they disable them, will they prevent them for use that same corruption operation against the young political party leaders, especially in the APC, members of the past government, Anes Nkrumah and young group, where now they've all been part of that cabal, they will loot the country in the past. Now they are joining Madabio to fight. And now then things say by me publishing ongoing corruption, present time corruption in the present tense, and they affect the own agenda because it disables or exposes the lack of genuineness on the part of Madabio for use this thing. So the opposition itself, they have been hiding behind the scenes, especially at the level of parliament, advising and helping Madabio for create this draconian landscape. And these are the reason we make we call out parliament repeatedly. So when some of you they defend them politicians, you don't know what you're talking about. You don't know what you're doing. Those of us who sit on the evidence, who have been targeted, who have been affected, who see what these politicians are doing, now that make we decide, say, our position is going to be relentlessly determined to expose these guys, even if you take away whatever it takes for me to expose them, because these are danger. We can affect everybody across parties. As long as you're Israelian, you decide, say, you go for disagree with them, well, you are going to be targeted. And maybe you know we'll get the same sophistication where we get to. You know we'll get the same brain, the same technology, and the same tools for watch out and able to see what you really see. And if you are targeted, by the time you know it, you'll be destroyed. You'll be finished. If they target you the same way they target, where we able to see and say, okay, let's wait and watch. And some of it again, as somebody tell me, Chernoh, some of them tell again, that because now they carry out genuine work, and make God the protect and see and show now. Some of the things they want to see. Once one person I even called me say, he say nothing they talk now, then say when I get devil where they tell them what they happen. Not the devil we get. Our work is just genuine. And you cannot destroy everyone. We not one day take government money, government business. Not a person they tell we for do what they do. We just they do them because we think say the country deserve better. But that's not the reason. So before I introduce my own personal thing to it, I want to tell you say this is a danger that is ongoing. You need to know about it. The more you are educated about it, the better. So I will come. I don't promise break for some time now. We don't go 1 hour 33 minutes. I will pause here. Welcome. I will read some of the messages and see if there are any questions or observation. Then we'll be able for talk about them before I go to the second segment. The second segment of the conversation will be how we identify them, how we can know about this, how we've been targeted, and again, how some of the people in the opposition will know about this, try for can cycle for know if we know say then this thing they go on, or if they use them against who we will know. But then lie to we say one of them comping, they don't what is it, and they don't hack inform. And we check, we can't find us in a lie. And then later when we investigate, we can't find out that these people were doing this because they are aware that this cyber intel operation is ongoing and it's been deployed against us and against other people. Those of you who know that you communicated with me around this, but what you did not realize was that at the time of your communication, we were also watching what is ongoing. This is the beauty of investigation. You learn, you see the unintended, you observe situations. And the second aspect of our report is going to lay out in clear terms how some people have been affected. Examples. That's what we intend to do. What we could not do, as I say, with the calculate. We are responsible citizens too. We're very responsible. Although the politicians and the opposition and their friends and the ruling party try for paint reason and we they behind the chaos in Sierra Leone, then they create chaos and try for attach to it as part of their effort for criminalizing what they do. We are very responsible citizens. If we not been love, we not been get love for the country and with people, we know they do what they do. We not need for do what they do so make we feed with families. No. In fact, by doing this, we are basically taking away from the time where we for use for spend time for take care of, do things with the earn we money for devote time to Sierra Leone. This work that we do, speaking about Sierra Leone, writing about Sierra Leone, and pointing out things that are not right, is community service, not free service to Sierra Leone, as citizens of Sierra Leone. We can choose not for do it. They do nothing to it. They reduce with chop money. They reduce with status and with lifestyle. No. Now, we not depend on this criminal activity in a salon for survive. You've done it in the past, you still continue to do it. So now your own definition of patriotism, of who you are, citizen, a different class of people. And that is what we find very suffocating, to say the least. So I see we get an appreciable audience. Keep sharing and inviting people. The next segment will be equally educative and entertaining. We need to know. The more you know, the better it is for you as a people. And thank you for being here. And come back on the second leg of the conversation and try to round this thing up. And then we go pay attention to what is coming in front of us. Yeah. Okay. Thank you, everyone. I know say we don't spend more time now, 1 hour, 37 minutes. And I want to tell everybody thank you for listening and pay attention to this conversation. I believe it's a very serious conversation because it has to do with individual security, individual protection, the right to privacy, and the failure of government to protect people. And instead, government use money for violate the responsibility to protect the lives and property of citizens, for defend the territorial integrity of Sierra Leone, for defend citizens and protect citizens of Sierra Leone, the violation of that responsibility, and by extension, the violation of the rights of citizens to privacy, to state protection. This is what we would say, no matter how much a government is affected by the activities of a citizen of the country, the government still get the obligation to protect that individual. Because apart from choosing to be naturalized to a country, when you are a citizen of a country by birth or by descent, it is not a choice, it's a fact of nature. So we are Sierra Leoneans, not because we decided to swear an oath of allegiance. By nature, we are born in Sierra Leone, or we were born of Sierra Leonean parents. And then as a fact of nature, we are Sierra Leoneans, which means that even if we disagree with the government in terms of how public policy is being formulated, how it's been implemented, how resources have been allocated, that is not any sufficient reason for the government criminalize any citizen. In fact, the Constitution, those who are lawyers will tell you, for some of us who are social science or humanist scholars, we know that the responsibility of a government is to protect citizens, regardless of your opinion. In fact, the constitutions of each and every country give citizens the right to an opinion, a universal right, the right to conscience, the right to hold an opinion of your own, the right to have a belief, including the exercise of that belief, whether that belief it can do with religious belief. You can choose to be a Christian, a Muslim, a Hindu, any kind of religion that you believe in, any kind of faith. You get right get right to spiritual consciousness. Government never dictate that to you. It should not be imposed on you. And your decision for hold on to your right to conscience and right to expression, for express that conscience, including the right to free speech, you exercise in a way that is not pleasing to the government has no right under the law for criminalize you or make you any less of a citizen. These are universally accepted principles, both in law and for the purposes of human existence. Because these are rights that are given to you by nature. by the fact that you are a human being created, if we can use it, created by God and placed in this universe. Human authority, government do not exist for make people their lives miserable. No, governments exist for make sure that people live the purposes of human existence, the right to life, the right to decent living, the right to dignified personhood. And that includes dignified personhood includes the right to private life. And what does that right to private life? For, get a family and raise a family of your choice. Even now, you see how those rights have been, the right to, personal life, dignified personal life, the right to life and personhood has been extended now. You get this universal discussion around even sexuality rights for decide how you have to exercise your sexual appetite. So these are to the extent to which societies around the world are aspiring for more free environments where their citizens could live and exhibit their human potential and the decision of how they want to enjoy their own life, including how they want to engage and in conversation that determine the kind of life, the kind of society, the kind of environment in which they live. Now we don't go to the point, or we even develop rules and regulations of how to even treat our own environment. How for cut stick, we stick not for cut. How to protect certain forests, we not trees, because in the final, even trees have life. They breathe oxygen in exchange for carbon dioxide, from human beings. This symbiotic relationship is impossible without respect for one another, respect for life, respect for the environment, respect for animals, respect for everything that is within this universe, including human beings. So the purpose of the government for regulate this space and make sure, say, whether a plant, an animal, a stone, a mountain, a river, all of these should exist and flow naturally. Because when you obstruct the flow of the natural correlation of the environment and anything within it, it causes other things. This is the remote slide, landslides, because these are all what we call infractions, now the aberration of the natural order of things. So the same way, when it comes to human beings and the reason why we elect people, and have to make them protect we rights, we interest and respect we as human beings. So when you get to a situation where a government has nothing else to do but to think about what kind of secret operations that has to be done for police and for contain particular set of citizens who they think are exercising their God-given right to conscience, right to expression, right to free speech, then what you have is a violation of the natural order of the society, natural order of things. And this is what we're talking about. Now, this is what we talk about now. We talk about a situation where the government has reduced itself to a criminal entity, to a criminal organization, and not only a criminal organization that is committing crimes of looting public money, but also hiring foreign entities to provide them with tools, extraordinary technology, not for developed scientific research in the country. We go produce machines, encourage people with talents. We get very great young men. For example, you look around the country, you get farmers like the Kabia farm, the women in Kabbalah who are producing onions, farmers that produce rice, tractors are not there, fertilizers are not sufficient. Even the money for fertilizers that goes to the agricultural ministry is stolen. First, they will get this seed program in the agricultural ministry. Even seeds they're not available for farmers. You get all of this. Now you take $5 million, not for build, you get what you call, how they call it, DSTI. Before you buy technology for develop a scientific research agenda that will produce scientists for the country, people with knowledge that will participate in the production of knowledge within this technological age. What you are doing is to go and buy cyber weapons for crack into people in communication, for sit down and listen, whether Anes by Kuruma don't talk to somebody, or Chernoh don't talk to this, or Samura Kamara don't talk to each other person or think, I mean, what do you have to, what profit does that add to national development, to human progress? Una famous foolish expression, human capital development. How has this contributed to human capital development, human resource development? You buy technology for undermine the environment that allow debate, public debate. Without public debate, there will not be the opportunity for public conversation, public growth, human development is absent. You don't go get any society where they develop and human beings progress and exhibit their full-blown potential, including the potential to produce technology, produce and contribute to economic development, whether as private citizens or as public officials, if the free speech environment is narrowed. And you cannot tell us that the payments to Cognite and Nostra enterprises are meant to create an environment that will support human progress. No, no. This is a police state. You are basically buying technology to undermine the freedom of citizens to be able to participate in a conversation that will shape public policy in their own interest, in the national interest, in the interest of collective development, in the interest of human progress. So this kind of investment is an investment that is against national development, national progress, economic growth, and economic development, and human development. Now that you invest your money into. And this is a crime. It is both corruption, and at the same time, it's a crime against the human development of the country. So it brings us to the question of Cognite. Who is Cognite? So Cognite basically now a company within Israel. In if I go to the African Express website, when I find out, so we attach a report published in December 2021 by Meta. The report then called an threat report on the surveillance for hire industry. This report was released on December 16, 2021. And three of the authors, they work for Meta in California. One of the authors' name is Mike Divlyansky. He's head of cyber espionage investigations at Meta. Meta, I know, of course, Meta and the company we get Facebook, Twitter, and stuff like that. Now we're not, and they don't sell Twitter now, but WhatsApp, I think, then they get Facebook and WhatsApp. Most of these social media apps will use, including WhatsApp. And the second person will be a part of this investigation. We produce this report. Now David Agranovich is the director of threat disruption Meta, and the third person, Nathaniel Gleischer, head of security policy. So again, the title of the report is Threat Report on the Surveillance for Hire Industry, published, as I say, on December 16, 2021. This report, by the way, why I read from it did at the African Express website. I know say, for the most part, they take advantage of the fact say people in a salon not get time or not get the patience for read, apart from the fact say we get the majority of the population we know benefit from higher education. But even those who are educated, including professionals, enjoy football, soccer, and other things, including for party, but they have less time to read. So what are the summary of this report? These people that investigate and find out, say, what they call surveillance for hire, companies and we don't make them sound like mercenaries, like them force them where to go hire Sandline or that South African mercenaries of conflict war. Now, so now the companies and we develop cyber technology and get people them and organizations where their own role again are like cyber mercenaries. You hire them for can help you fight the cyber warfare. So in this report, the summary of the report here, these investigators from Meta, they say the global surveillance for hire industry, this group of people and now this company we talk about, companies and don't they wait and they for hire. And they are called this global surveillance for hire. Like Sujaman no more. But the only thing here, they use technology as part of their warfare. Cyber technology as part of the warfare. Cyber warfare. And it has grown into an industry, a whole business, a whole conglomeration, like enterprise, and they don't develop various companies in different parts of the world. Like whole mercenaries, cyber mercenary companies. And when you look at them, are experts. So somebody go don't work for them big Microsoft and Defender, and then they invent some of this technology. Now they don't transfer that knowledge to companies then where they don't roll and for fight cyber wars. Like soldier man then, computer soldier man then. You can imagine computer armies. The industry targets people to collect intelligence, manipulate and compromise devices across the internet and accounts across the internet. So the war we're in the fight and cyberspace, cyber warfare. I did the war day. So in fact, for Facebook or Meta in this report, then called our while these cyber mercenaries often claim their services only target criminals and terrorists, when they set up these companies, by the way, not to hidden companies, are legal companies, and they put them and say, no, we did no more for help government, for protect themselves from criminals where they attack government infrastructure, banks, cyber warfare, for help government and prevent, then it makes it a legal thing they do. But when Meta investigate and find out, say, these companies are, it's a months-long investigation, then they carry out several months in the course of a year. 6 months, 3 months investigation, then can find out, say, our months-long investigation concluded that targeting is in fact indiscriminate. They find out, say, their company, although in the claim say they do legal thing, most of the operation the way they do now. Now for target people them, we government then they against, and then people they include journalists, dissidents, critics of authoritarian regimes, then people they criticize bad government, dictators then like Madabiu now. Families of opposition members, and human rights activists. So when they check, they find out all the people where these companies they don't target in different parts of the world. Now either journalists them or people where disagree with governments, government opposition people or critics, citizens the way they criticize bad government, or their own family members or other human rights activists them. So when Facebook carry out this investigation, they identify 7 companies where these 7 companies are with the part of this operation, and find out that 7 companies don't targeted people across the internet in over 100 countries. When them check, they find out, say, oh, Facebook don't target them company, they don't target about people that in different journalists, human rights activists, over 100 countries in the world. So, and then people in the way they target include people who get Facebook accounts and WhatsApp and other things then, and that make themselves detect. So basically, what did Facebook, what did they do, Meta do? They decided to share their findings with security researchers and other platforms and policy makers, and they issue season and they warn them company as well, left for target for customers then. People with their accounts on they notify them, like how we said, we will publish the document. And this conversation is similarly, this is what they do soon enough, what Meta themselves don't do for inform the young people then of some of the things that we then also find out. We said what we find out, say that this, so now that we said they do so. And also alerted people who believe, and they also inform the people and say they don't target for that. Remember, that make you find out, say you even get Facebook account now, Facebook, they force you. If they find out say your account really active, they force you for add multi-factor authentication. If you not do one, they block your account. Make sure say you don't put the security features, nobody will hack you. You not go through for protect people there. In fact, one of the ways that they will make the able hack into my Facebook account, because there was multi-factor authentication. When Cognite try for hack with account from Freetown and other places, some of them will not succeed. Now because already we had gotten an alert from Facebook about how to develop multi-factor authentication and add security, including other things. So now I don't go read the report all, but I will just show now the companies that we identify now. The companies that include the number 1 company where they put out this report, then call it Cobwebs Technology. Then find out the Cobweb, then they carry out surveillance chain phases, reconnaissance, and engagement. If I read the report, they see all the patterns, how did they do, how the hacking they take place. Then they first make accounts, then BU per D. After that, they take to the point where we send bug na your phone, like message for say click here, where you click on, stuff like malware and spyware thing. They did it to my phone. I will tell you now, I can't share my own experience, but I just want to identify the companies and way Meta identify. Not to will the company where Salome they pay money, they under this list. The first company na Cobwebs Technology. So Meta say when they investigate, they removed about 200 accounts which were operated by Cobwebs and its customers worldwide. Then find out say Cobwebs don't get about 200 accounts now Facebook and other social media platforms within they operate when they target people with. They use for target people then. And this company, this firm was founded in Israel with offices in the United States and sells access to its platforms that enable reconnaissance across the internet, including Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp, Twitter, Flickr, public websites, and dark websites. In addition to collecting information about their targets, the accounts used by Cobwebs customers also engaged in social engineering to join closed communities and forums and trick people into revealing personal information. Our investigation identified customers in Bangladesh, in Hong Kong, the United States, New Zealand, Mexico, Saudi Arabia, Poland, and other countries. In addition to targeting related law enforcement activities, we also observed frequent targeting of activists, opposition politicians, and government officials in Hong Kong and Mexico. Cobwebs. Now, see what Meta say about that. We did your investigation, find out. Now, the second company, na Cognite, ended at the list now. So, Meta, December 2021, I'll go back at the date. This report was say so. I mean, it didn't have a website. We'll share them back. December. And anybody want this report, you can message me, either Facebook or WhatsApp. Many of you get WhatsApp. Get me WhatsApp. Or I will post this one with various WhatsApp groups. Then when I get out, I share it with other people again. The article right and this report way Meta right. This is reported and published December 16, 2021. I remember Salome be not begin July 7 and I begin pay Cognite for this kind of technology. Now Meta by December identifies this company there. They list 7 companies. The first company, I don't tell you that. The second one that they list Cognite. So what did they say about Cognite? They say we removed about 100 accounts on Facebook and Instagram, which we are linked to Cognite. Cognite, the name trade, I mean, if a company will be not get that name, we them call WebInt Pro. WebInt Pro and its customers. This firm is based in Israel and it sells access to its platform, which enables managing fake accounts across social media platforms, including Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, and VContact, and other websites to social engineer people and collect data. Our investigation identified customers in Israel, Serbia, Colombia, Kenya, Morocco, Mexico, Jordan, Thailand, and Indonesia. Their targets, the targets of Cognite, included journalists and politicians around the world. So I just want to read more as a Cognite. I want to remember Cognite 9 them pay. Part of the company, the way the government pay, then no more they receive over $2 million in the sample transaction. So even when Facebook, Meta don't produce this report, now one of the dangerous companies then, where they carry out this kind of operation, government of Sierra Leone still they can pay money to them up to July 2022. So the other companies include Black Cube, number 3, number 4, Blue Hawk, Beltox, number 5, Citrox, number 6, number 7, the company where they identify within China, but they don't even know a name. It's an unknown entity in China where they identify, where they carry out this operation. So first, this don't happen. So what do we experience? We don't investigate now. So at the time where Meta they carry out this investigation for find out about this situation, we self at the same time they investigate as alone because we don't notice cyber operations against our own website first. When I remember all this time they post our website saying they hack our website, they put them down, they put them up, put them down, they put them up. And the time we begin investigate. And sometimes we go tell us we go for investigate for see the cyber operations. So we don't notice and identify cyber intel operations against African Express. So then we investigate the Bank of Salone because we say no more Oh, we don't recognize in a saloon. You don't understand what there's cyber intelligence companies and in a saloon from B talk. So we wanted to see also whether there are financial transactions. How much government don't pay for this, apart from the fact that we know they don't contract them. So that is the evidence here. So the question here, a company, and not to say no more meta no more investigate wire. Now I will go back, when I go back to the African Express website, this documented it. But what did we find out? We find out, say, internationally, even the US government don't take action against the companies they have, put them, the NSO group, they call it. You know, remember Pegasus, a whole research project also being exposed, how government they hire NSO and these cyber intelligence tools for target journalists around the world. That report is out there. But where they didn't here in a saloon, with the fishing a far place there, that's where they happen, and then dangerous Middle East, Latin American countries. When we tell them, say, what you na the hear in a radio about Pegasus, about all of this, not a rumor within a saloon. And in one of the top companies, leading companies where they carry out some of these cyber intelligence companies, Mother they don't pay them money. Not to them say the Bank of Sado record. They will don't publish the evidence. This not to technology we then buy for protect citizens, now technology we then buy for attack certain citizens. We have been targeted potentially with that technology. So in Europe, in fact, in early March 2022, March way past, so 2022, the European Parliament set up a committee for investigate this issue about how government hire these cyber companies there for target opposition, for violate citizens' rights, including journalists. That committee is there. And we intend for forward, me personally, I write letter in my own hand, document the evidence what I don't collect about this and report to the European Union Parliament and the European Union SSF and tell them who now will they fund this government, because the European Union gives a lot of money to Sierra Leone, including funding our elections. For making them know say that already the government is using cyber technology for narrow for target citizens in the country, including myself, who is a citizen of Sierra Leone. And this is what they say, the records are here. The government, so the United States, Europe, everybody is concerned about this situation. Ban, they don't ban some companies, and those who check the news, it's out there. So basically, we find out, while concerns over spyware technology increased in Europe and the United States, we own investigation. This would be better. Now we own investigation, find out, say, the government of Salone, government officials in Sierra Leone had already transferred millions of United States dollars in payments to Cognite. We had already know that Cognite and how they are listed internationally. And we are using cyber intelligence operations to target political opponents. We discovered, we begin notice this at least in April 2022. Now we'll see the intense attack on African Express. Remember, by April, there's small demonstration that happened at Freetown. Now remember April, that the government and the parliament intensified, begin ramp up all kind of distraction from small protests. Then we can talk about within them protests from teacher strike, teacher solidarity movement now, women's protest now, all of these protests. Then a separate discussion. Where can they? How and the purposes and how those ones feed into August 8 to 10 are different in the focus on the cyber intelligence now with the evidence in front of we. So here, these cyber intelligence operations, we, African Express, noticed the intensity of a target by April, around the same time when the protesting they happened. And this was really around the second week of April, after a conference we may organize. Now, yeah, last year I held a conference. Many of you who are following my work signed up for that conference who have been doing at the university. Now, the second week after that conference, now we begin to notice this intel operation from targeting my own communication. In fact, by middle May, my phone will only begin to receive the spyware messages then, push directly into the calendar section. And some of them also include the assigned people, maybe they call me randomly from different parts of the world, including with different numbers. They, disturbing phone calls. Regularly, you will think they are just ordinary spam calls. I mean, they record spam calls, what they call spam calls, random phone calls from companies. Some they just call them and listen. So they call and try for sell you technology. try to sell you information like advertisers, but in actual fact, they're part of the information collection process assigned. Since I post on Facebook for say, they publish about Cognite. Now the phone calls, they're all on the phone don't cease, they don't reduce, they don't cease. I was getting those phone calls 10, 20, 50 in a week. I got to publish all the numbers of phone calls that we've received, me and other colleagues of mine and people who I talk to. This exclude messages coming into my phone. Directed around May to June, towards the end of May to June, I begin to receive these spyware messages on my phone. Where the time they say, oh, somebody they hack your phone, they look your message, they try to get into you iCloud and stuff like that, because I use Apple technology for the most part. So we may not notice this. So we begin to observe the ramping up of these strange messages, unusual communication, unusual phone calls, random spam phone calls coming to my phone, and all of that. All of a sudden, they've ceased. Since December 5 to now, we will announce, oh, Cognite, we'll call Cognite, I posted on Facebook, now the phone call they reduce. We got for drill into that in the second publication. Mr. Get for intent, Mr. Go write a personal testimonial statement documenting my experience with this situation. So in the article here, we reported African Express say we discovered cyber surveillance operations had been initiated at least in April 2022 against African Express, and this continued into late September 2022. September 11, now they then do the climax. They hack into a Facebook account. I mean, they try to hack into my Facebook account and other social media platforms we control. In fact, they commandeer the Twitter account, because when we set up the Twitter account way back in 2014, we'll not be doing any double factor authentication. We just left, and so we had not used our Twitter account for the most part after 2014. Now, recently, when Parliament came, and they will begin activating because we needed to use it in a particular way. But we have mostly used Facebook because we find out that most of our audience in Africa are more into Facebook, increasingly, especially in places like Sierra Leone. More people are then at Facebook than they are at Twitter, and now increasingly they get Twitter. So now for the outside, we just repost with articles, never use our social media, Twitter accounts for direct engagement until around June. Now we begin, when we focus on Parliament, and when we begin. So at the time of this attempt for hack, and they even commandeer, they hack into the Twitter account and change even the username from African Express to Africanist P. All of that is documented. So with the help of Twitter, in 24 hours, we will get access to a Twitter account again. And several attempts for signing into my own email. I get a Yahoo mail that I've been running for the last 20, I would say at least from 2002 to now, almost 20 years email account, personal email account that they try to hack into. And we up to December, up to end of November, they try to do that as well for, So this is why some people even send me emails. I don't even reply to some of them because there's already an effort. They assign some people that say, well, I look for an IP address where they use. So that's to the extent. But without revealing too much, we noticed our investigation identified patterns. All of these patterns of attempt for hacking to it, we aggregate and we check them. We intuition system, we see that there are patterns resembling Cognite operations. And not only that, the fact that we don't identify payments of Cognite and Cognite's active presence in Sierra Leone, we concluded that Cognite in itself is one of the companies that has been targeting us. Now, who are involved? You should not be surprised that some of your opposition politicians are aware of this. In fact, by April, some of the opposition people try for even, they went as far as cloning my Facebook account, Mataluna Today, created what looks like a post that came from me, and they share, and even a platform, a WhatsApp group where I control. I told them, now I do this. This did not come from SLPP. It came from you, the rogue elements within the APC who are working with the regime. That was April, way back in April. So from April, we begin to monitor this situation up to September 11, when the direct attack on our social media pages happened, and the unsuccessful attempt for hacking to my Facebook and my own personal email. And all of these patterns, when aggregated together, they relate to Cognite operations. So in this article, we reported that we had identified patterns included repeated malicious attacks on the African Express website. Countless times our website has been put down, they put down. Finally, they gave up on that in May. That made the last attempt for do that. We get all the statistics, which I hope we will publish in the subsequent articles on this situation. So the patterns, you find out, say, when they coordinate this situation, apart from just running IP addresses that have been identified in Sierra Leone, but also they do proxies that have been located mostly in Eastern Europe for the most part. They say that this is still material, like how they say we effort on this cyber front is still ongoing. So the attacks were escalated in June, early June 2022. The early June, at the time of the spyware messages and begin to some of we phone them, including my own, severally. But we will watch and we see the various messages where they invite a click now for click so, but they come right into the calendar. Now the way they get calendar messages where they give you like an event. They announce like what looks like an event for me, prompt you for click. That's how they were doing it. And when you click, automatically they have access to you, to your phone, and they can control and change. I can't talk about how they do when they have access to you. So these attacks, but we notice now June, around the time where they say and down, the LJ movement may happen at the same time. They intensify the attack on my telephone here. And this, my personal telephone communication, I use my own example. Some of I'm not going to talk about some of the other information, but I can't talk about how we identify some of the opposition people and whose names I will withhold for now until the publication. That will come. I will describe the scenario and I will read directly from the messages in my phone. So the malicious messages, this malicious message when they send to his spyware messages continued. We left to make it, they must see what did happen. Because we needed to observe the pattern and then match the pattern with other things that we don't know, with other people. We are also, we would explain, we said to consult other people, we experience in this domain, the compare notes. This kind of operation and this kind of software, who do you think has this? Will they generate this kind of spyware, this kind of virus? This is how we identify companies and the patterns. So as far as we are concerned, the dozens of malware and spyware messages that were sent randomly to my telephone and other colleagues shows patterns that are similar to how Cognite operates. And the fact that we already get this financial evidence with Cognite clearly show where it was coming from. So the malicious messages continued into September. Now, September 11, when they make the attempt of votes, and I was okay, we don't get sufficient proof now because we don't get actual IP address of attempt and all of this. I've been posted. If I didn't at the website, again, want to look, even geolocation mapping, where a friend of ours, a dedicated follower, do, apart from the other work where we don't do now. So after this happened, we decided for add now security layers to the communication. So I stopped receiving the spyware messages when we blocked them around September 13, 2022. Not too long ago, September, October, November, 3 months ago. But still the spam messages there, phone calls then continue. Now my phone, random people, Indian sounding, Chinese sounding names, voices, and machine automated calls, all of this. You go feel this a natural thing, and then people where they advertise thing. But since we announced Cognite, coincidentally, everything just disappeared because now the company realize we don't identify them, we don't see them. And we go for reveal some of this information. So some of it is being rolled back. If then they are posted, they're not beginning to roll back, then try for pretend say no, then try for make pretend say no, not regular. 1 or 2 calls can carry in a day. I say, okay. They're doing that. So why are they saying this? This is a dream. This is not far away. It's in Sierra Leone, in Freetown. Technology by Madabio and the rogue opposition allies. They know this. When they listen to me now, they know it's not true. I have gotten the complete side of it. So I tell them, I made them know. And my responsibility here is to tell you, the ordinary citizens, who want to get telephones, who want to engage, who want to communicate, who want to know citizens. And this is not to put fear into you. It's to tell you that we can also expose. We investigation is not just to track the finances, but to also see these kind of things that governments do. All of this when they do so, now for making them able for thief money, so that nobody no go know. It's part of the process to silence Africanist press, to silence other people who are speaking out, who are opponents of the government. And that they try to do. Some people might not be sophisticated enough for pay attention to some of these things. They will think it's natural. And that is how it is. And not the danger than they. So how do you say? So in the course of we investigation, what we can find, and we also discovered that similar, this same way they target, this example I don't give, I don't talk profoundly, but the same way they target African Express, we can check now, we find out, say, oh, even some of the opposition, but not all of the opposition, some of the opposition politicians there as well, especially the real opposition, because we don't talk about two types of opposition. Opposition within the opposition, not to that I talk about to the sellout one day, especially at the level of parliament, not to the one that they, in fact, they are complicit. When I don't let them pass the law, they know what's going to happen. We can find out, say, the same kind of surveillance operations were potentially being used to intercept and target other opposition people there in the country where the government they try for. Know what they do, who they talk to, what kind of conversations they are having, and all of that. This is in addition to people the way they close to the way they report about them. And how we learn about this, now the fact that make a go now, yeah. Or they check me. yeah. In somewhere around April and May, make I not just do. I get a couple of people who are in the opposition. One or two, I would say three of them are even former ministers or part of the former cabinet. So they came to me just usually, like how people can just send me message no more, because I get sometimes I sit down and they get these fake people that they just send me fake document and say, hey, look at the document of so. I just smile and laugh because they assume that information we publish and people number randomly they send me information, we take our publisher. Breaking news. So these people decide for contact me, say, they get concerned, they say one of them company report to them, say his phone, a man in fact, he say in phone them don't hacker. I say, well, really? I say how I know say they don't hacker? And I think say the government sophisticated to that level. He say, yeah, he say, in fact, he noticed say them put in phone off, a phone go off, the way come on, they don't change how he save the names there. Now in phone. Now I say, give me a phone number. They didn't give me. We run a check. But we've been already know say then why in fact those individuals who had contacted me, they were subject of our own investigation. That is what they did not know. Because we don't notice the opposition complicity. We were investigating them at the time that they decided to make this lie. So they felt also they may investigate for find out if we get the capacity for understand how if these things are deployed, if we go know. By the way, we will already see the transactions going. This now around April, we watch now for see how the process is going to complete. So they attempted to tell me that one of their colleagues has been hacked, which I could say no, it's not possible. But anyway, we went back and forth. We decided to collect all the numbers of the people who are in the circle of this individual that is supposedly, allegedly hacked. And we run a check. We see that none of the numbers were compromised. Instead, in fact, like the reverse, we can find out. These people knew that some of their colleagues have been targeted. Then we want to find out from if we know, say some of them people there are under surveillance. The young colleagues in the opposition. These are the rogue elements within the opposition. And they also wanted to find out if we then deploy the same technology on we, if we don't know, say they spy on we are under surveillance. That is what they were trying to test. They were trying to test our ability to find out with knowledge of things. So we ended up, instead we begin to collect more information from them. Say, when I send we more numbers. When I send we more, when I send we 5 numbers, with this person they talk to. We talk to frequently, they send. When I send we 5 numbers of this other person, they send. So we kept on, then asked, where the result? I would say, no, they might investigate. But so far, we don't see any compromise. That's so we left it, they don't ask you again, we don't ask them. And then at the second time, where this group of people within the opposition don't target we work. Sometime in around leading up to December, this is an example I don't talk about. These very people send one journalist where they near them for give me fake information as well. A document we then say in a document we involve corruption, we then go make an line document and send it to we. We check the document, the metadata of the document, we do a forensic check of the document, we see it's in a fake. So they wanted us to publish a fake story with a fake document, thinking that that's how they operate. So they will say, see, Africans don't lie. So part of the effort of these rogue elements within the opposition was to discredit the African Express. Because they find out these are people that they worked at the previous government. They have never been accused of corruption because they are working with Madabio, not because they were not corrupt in the past. But they moved on. They moved on and begin now for accusing the young company in the previous government of corruption, simply because they think that is the only way those people will be eliminated and disqualified from competing in the next elections. So then we'll get competitive advantage at the young party to take over them, the opposition party, and position themselves for 2028. So Madabio should work with them to take over their party. They will also help Madabio to rig the election so he can continue for a second term. That will make them ready for the next time to replace Madabio. That is the classical nature of state capture that has been added. We don't talk about this severally. Then and now platform, me and Prince Kroma and other people, state capture and a popular phrase down as alone. So what will they talk about? So this surveillance, cyber surveillance, and the operational mechanics of state capture. When state capture takes hold in a country, it becomes the operations of the political class. The political class, they resort to clandestine operations, criminal operations, secret operations. This is now what we call the secret operations of the state for target opponents of the regime. That's what I'm talking about. And when governments, they hire technology, they pay for technology, for surveillance people, they can also hire people, assassins, for assassinate people. If they're not able to get you through technology, or poisoning you, they will also hire assassins against their opponents. That's so criminal regimes, and they behave all over the world. Kidnapping, poisoning, framing, setting up, and criminalizing opponents. A common habit. We get Rwanda, Burundi, Uganda, Colombia, all these repressive regimes. We now have Sierra Leone as part of that example. The government of Sierra Leone has no explanation why they will pay Cognite millions of dollars for cybersecurity intelligence technology other than technology to harass, surveillance, and intimidate, and violate the private life of ordinary citizens who they believe are not in agreement with their own operation. So here we talk, say, we discovered in particular that security agencies likely initiated cyber surveillance activities targeting a few opposition politicians between April 2022 and August 2022, August leading up to the August 10 demonstration. They did that. Our investigation found that a few former ministers in Nkrumah's government and leading members of parliament were also aware, they know, that cyber surveillance operations that targeted certain opposition politicians and journalists were being used by security agencies in Sierra Leone, but they never spoke about it. They never talk in the public. Not because they're afraid or they're not victims, no, because they know the victims, they know how it's happening. So this, we don't talk about so much about the danger of the cybersecurity law. We don't talk about how the cybersecurity law, they violate free speech. We don't talk about Mada being a dictator. What we have not talked about is stuff like this. How money, public money, is being used by the government of Sierra Leone with the knowledge of parliamentarians and their consent and approval, because they passed the law to buy technology, to use technology, to import technology, which is not being used for the protection of the lives and property of citizens, but for the violation of the rights, especially the right to privacy of ordinary citizens in the country. And again, when I go on the African Express website, you will see the transactions. You will see details of the transactions. $218,000, $218,841.82 transferred on July 7, 2021 to Cognite Technology Israel Limited. The purpose of the transfer was to pay for the purchase of cyber intelligence solutions for national security operation. 7th of July again, the same time, $155,000 to the same Cognite Technologies Israel Limited, payment in respect of purchase for the same cyber security solutions for national security operation. The third one, $84,316.16. Fourth one, $218,841.82. $155,000, $310,000 on October 1, 2021. On 10 May 2020, imagine the report from Meta, Facebook, we then talk about Cognite, will not happen. December. In May, 10 May 2022, $310,000. 18 July 2022, July way past so $630,000 in total. Here, sample transactions alone to Cognite, $2,081,999, $2,081,999.80 to Cognite. This not a technology for add to the engineering department at Rubey College. It's not technology for develop computers and IPAM. It's not technology to develop the labs at the College of Medicine and Allied Health Sciences. It's not technology that went to Njala for develop the School of Agriculture. This is technology that was bought to undertake cyber intelligence operations by the ONS, the Sierra Leone Police, and other security agencies coordinated by Cognite. And we don't know who are in a Cognite. Who is Cognite? And go back and read to the Udana Cognite. Cognite, we then give that millions of dollars. What in other people then say about Cognite? Now wait to Cognite listed as number 2 cyber mercenary company by Meta. Meta talks say is a company where they carry out surveillance chain operation, reconnaissance, and engagement. They remove Cognite, no more the action with Meta take against where they investigate, and they find out, say, Cognite may get 100 accounts, secret accounts there, when they run at Facebook and Instagram that were linked to Cognite and its customers. Then find out, say, the company based in Israel. Then they sell technology where they allow, where they enable the creation of fake accounts on social media, where the account then they can be on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, and other platforms. And those are accounts where the company they use for target, for social engineer, for create, like now when they send me message, oh, they want to hack into it, click this here for clean, for stopper, as a clicker, so they don't get access to your data. Basically, then decide for target me because then things say after they don't sack Lara, they don't sack all the people and still they publish. What should we do to this African Express? How do they get the information? They say the system they not hard, so it's possible say they don't hack. So now make Cognite try for attack we for know how they get information. So then believe say we know which man there for find information. So then go higher than you are with Ariobo. Now we don't catch the Ariobo, we don't expose her. They will have used that $5 million for provide water, provide electricity, provide better services, for even put subsidy on petrol. But that never don't do. Or build schools. Or buy computer and give student in a commerce or in Jala or IPAM or Rubey College. Did they do that? No. So as far as Meta concerned, they say we then investigate and identify targets of this company now Israel, Serbia, Israel, Serbia, Colombia, Kenya, Morocco, Mexico, Jordan, Thailand, and Indonesia. All them countries and a country will get some dangerous politics. They don't use then customers there of Cognite. And they don't use that Cognite technology for target journalists and politicians around the world. 100 countries have been affected. Now, this company, Naimadabiu, and the own government officials, security people don't use against Africanist press. They don't pay money. Also, they use the same technology against other people in the country, including key opposition people that we know. So this, again, as I say, not to them say, oh, or rumor, or suspect. It's here. The same way when the suspect say Fatima Biobin they receive money from government, they tell una say no, like money they spend, we work under snow and sweat. Until we publish information, say look the evidence now, you see, we're able to deny. The same way again when the suspect say then people then they hack, then they listen. Now we don't show us say not only suspect to say they hack, they don't pay money for that, look the money. And one of the companies where they pay a company where they know all over the world. So when Cognite they attack somebody, in fact, what it Meta say, the report then say Cognite, then finally say they don't abuse Meta's Facebook and Instagram platforms because they target people for collect intelligence, manipulate and compromise their devices and accounts across the internet. So the tactics where they use, then they create fake accounts there. So if you look in Facebook or Twitter, they find out they get all kind. Like now we would see accounts formed in December 2022 with different Kalukalu name no more. So themselves they say it's a fake account. Fake accounts to search and view people's social media page for when they look at profile and see who they talk to, who they you list. And your list of friends. Engaging with people using fictitious identities, fake identity. Yeah? Then they trick people and for make them give information. You can see them say, hey, they don't block me. If they say, I send you code, give me. For me, they hack, they can do that. They try to hack into your account. Prompt you for make you send code to them. Like, some of them don't get that day. Somebody they try for log into your account. Later on, you talk say that your account they block. So they give you for make you send her. We say that your account they try for log into. As you send the number, the code so number, pam, they don't kick you out of your account. So then do that. Engaging people using fake identities, then tricking people from giving away their account information by getting them to click on malicious links. In addition to collecting intelligence through dubbing, Cognite they can also break into computers. They get the technology and the ability for go into a computer and try for access, and cell phones, because they send something to you when you download that, like that they don't get access to your whole machine, your whole equipment. They can control them remotely now. Anything they do, they know. They can even program your computer for do something on your own. Sometimes they even engineer this without access to you. Then they even create backdoors, sophisticated technology. These are leading experts. And so you see, the government know that they hire. They know the dangerous companies when they hire. Then they are not fools. So they get all the sense for do bad, including how for thief, but they don't get the sense for develop the country. They don't get the willingness for doing. So when I say Mother beyond a fool man, and they say, oh, these politicians, they are just rogues, gangsters, but they know. They know what it takes to protect themselves, to go after people and make them find out this company. So Cognite get the capacity for compromise your telephone. Even if you conscious of security, if you not take 10 and get away for get around you. So that make a guy more to get in conversation there. Yeah, so I will learn from your own experience and how we able for counter this. When I go to the African Express website, when I go read the article, we will continue for write. We expect for write 2, 3, 4 more articles detailing some of these things. These are the first report. This report's an intro to what we found out. I want to tell people and thank you. We don't go 2 hours, 30 minutes, 35 minutes now. I think we don't get sufficient conversation. Make us see the chat room. And if I would take a couple of questions, I think I don't already lay out some of the premise of this conversation. And I hope say I'm able to get some information through. Now, I'm not going to read everybody message. I will just look some of the messages them and see if there are questions. The opposition leaders in parliament are a disgrace to the menace. Mr. Okay, Musa Kamara. Mr. How can this information be used in any future investigation against Mada, his wife, and his government officials? Well, we got pray to God for make we still say we get a government we willing. But from the look of things, the reason why make parliament decide to come after the African Express or the opposition politicians and basically largely in parliament came after it because they know say if they take action on Madabi and raise these issues at parliament, they're under obligation to deal with it in the future. And at this make like by turn, they take the country, say we don't can and thief after that, they will come out and can with thief. And now with this kind of information where African Express don't want to then say the evidence is right in the public, any future government will be forced to deal with the situation. So let us hope that we will end up having a president who will be willing to look into these issues because they have to be examined in the interest of the future, the generations of, who picking the way they can now. And that I'm hoping. I'm not too really. What I will guarantee you, Musa Kamara, is the fact that I will continue to do this work that I'm doing with all the strength and health permit. I will continue for devote my time for do this. Maybe the style of reporting will change, the pattern, the technique will change, depending on the kind of government that we have in front. But that me will guarantee you. Regarding what we will have to do to hold these people responsible, let's see what will happen. So our opposition leaders in parliament are a disgrace, Brahma Yaya Kalawa. These guys are in between government. Okay. Um, Samuel Williams, absolutely. What else? Instead of providing sustainable electricity in Freetown, okay. It's Leoneans speak the truth, know the level by that leadership between APC and SLPP, they will stop supporting them. Okay. Then from speak the truth. We had a total of 94,000 where we expected more, but to God be the glory, to glory, okay. We are great. What a great analogy, Mr. Abdul Bah. It's funny how a full grown man will take up a job by condemning and defaming the president and his government. It's not bad to oppose, but doing it with hatred in mind. Okay, that's a good view too. We'll read everybody in view. Let me just emphasize that whatever we have published about, I don't talk, repeat, what we say they don't pay money to Cognite is here. It's in the records. What we do not have is an alternative or anything for say not to say be. You don't understand? So spending taxpayers' money, the very same citizens who gave you the mandate to rule them, and after you butcher them like chickens in a slaughterhouse. Okay, as I say, most of these people expressing their views. Um, okay, this one they defend. Okay, if you believe the government get right for spend such amount of millions in buying technology for um, surveillance, uh, a few identified people who they believe are opponents of the government, you have the right to that opinion. We are saying what we've identified and how we've been affected by that. And that's what I want to say, and with evidence too. You can also come with your evidence. Government has a responsibility to come out and tell us. But until now, nobody ever knew that Cognite has been hired and paid this amount of money. You been know that before? No. We had to investigate and see it, and we were targeted by um, this kind of funding operation. Some will have you believe that all of these conversations, okay, good. Christian Cooper, you are talking like this about the platform. Yeah, indeed, we've been around for 20 years, and we continue. You must enjoy. Okay, so thank you, Christine, for responding to the Lang's content. Yeah, see. Okay, there has been very good, interesting debate on the chat forum. That is good. This is democracy. I would, Mr. Barr, to tell us if the money was not used for the intended purpose or it's been misappropriated. So requested $1 million for a trip to the UK, and so what? Don't talk to us as if we are idiots. Okay. If you believe, say, the president get right for going to Lebanon on the president say they go Lebanon on a honeymoon, he can go over $1 million, and knock out with nothing back. Later on, they say he been go for on a much needed rest. So I think you have a right to defend what you want to defend. What did we know? We've shown Madabio in the first place when he was campaigning, he campaigned against frivolous public spending. He promised the people of Sierra Leone that he's going to close the leakages. He will reduce international travel expenditure. He will cut down on the loot of public money through international travel. Has he done that? No. In promise to the people, and what he has done is the complete opposite. So if you be no say he get for travel more than any president, he get for loot more money in per diems in the name of travel, 1 million, 2 million, 3 million, and transfer money all over the place, including money to embassies and consulates that get stolen. If you be no say good, why you been put on a manifesto say good against that? So the question is, go back and read the president's manifesto, look at what he has done, and look at the two. And you ask a question, what did he promise? Has he lived up to? I will tell you the evidence is completely the opposite. So don't blame me for highlighting here. Blame the one that if you be say I will not talk say President Madabi can go $1 million na Lebanon, then choosing a lie. Aha, then a different conversation. But what I tell you say that okay, now they pay $5 billion on some of these operations. Are you happy that they are using this money just to buy technology to spy on citizens, as opposed to using that money to fund the public education in Sierra Leone and for develop scientific research in Sierra Leone? No. If you're glad for that, okay, then are your own choice. But what we have said here is basically information that is supported by documentary evidence. Okay, so I think there has been a pretty good conversation on the thread here, which tells us that this has been a very good conversation. As I say, I will not be able to read everything. African Express in my opinion, just that in the morning. Oh, I think I just talk about this other comment. So I have basically laid out the preliminary conversation on cyber surveillance in Sierra Leone. Key point would have to take away now the fact that it is no longer a rumor that the government has hired and is using cyber surveillance technology for target journalists and other opposition politicians in the country and outside of the country. There is evidence showing that monies have been paid out of the Bank of Sierra Leone to these companies. And until now, nobody has provided any evidence to the public for make we know say this kind of procurement has actually happened. And we raise the questions. At what point did government advertise, and where did they advertise that they were going to spend such amount of money, public money, in the procurement of cyber technology for undertake cyber surveillance operations in Sierra Leone? What kind of cyber surveillance operations are they carrying out? Most importantly, did the procurement comply with the financial laws and regulations of the country? In addition to that, how did the government identify Cognite as the company that they will procure such technology from? And why did they identify Cognite? Were they aware or not aware that Cognite is already a blacklisted company that is identified as a cyber mercenary company whose services and tools have been used to target journalists and human rights campaigners around the world? If so, if they know that this company's services and tools are used to muzzle free speech and violate the rights of citizens, why did they pay such amount of money to this company? Who made the decision to hire that? And how were the decisions made? What is the role of Parliament in this process? Was Parliament unaware? And now that Parliament has been made aware of the situations, what are they going to do? Are they going to remain silent or keep quiet about it? So these are the things then. Questions around procurement, irregularities or secret operations. Is the government authorized to spend public money in secrecy? Is the government allowed to do that? Is that how they spend public money? And up and above that, is it justifiable to spend such amount of money in the procurement of surveillance technology as opposed to investing that money in meaningful social service delivery, either in healthcare, public roads, public construction, public education, you name it, or even subsidies on petroleum products and rice? These are the questions, and that's the one for left with. So until we meet again next week with the follow-up to this conversation, and hopefully maybe by then we will publish this full second article where we will detail some of these issues I have highlighted. But I want me to go and think around the discussion that we've been having the last 2, almost getting to 3 hours now on these issues. So I want to thank you all. We don't sacrifice the time and the energy for listening to this conversation. And we will say more on this and provide more specific details in addition to other transactions, again, we don't track relating to this effort for more free speech. At what cost to the National Treasury and the taxpayers has the war against free speech come about? How much has it cost the government to wage a war against free speech in Sierra Leone and against dissent, against opposition, against the right of citizens to hold a different opinion? How much has it cost us? At what cost to the National Treasury has the current war against free speech don't happen? And until then, I have been your companion and friend and discussant. I promise you faithfully, after this year, by the new year, we get for publish more revealing information. I told you in the past that we are still under 25% of the evidence in our possession, and we mean that. Hopefully by then, the election rate will reach 50%. But we are here. We cannot be silenced. We cannot be silenced. Independent journalism is necessary for the development of democracy and for national economic development. And we are independent journalists. Our role is to hold leaders accountable. That is what we will continue to do. And we will do that relentlessly. And that we will decide to do. So thank you very much. And until then, my name is Chernoh Alpha Emba of the African Express.